Kelly style. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another podcast by your best friends at ScarfLife, RSL Nation's primary, only, and best podcast, talking about all things Real Salt Lake MLS, red cards, and sweater vests. With your host, Adele and
Bakir.
what's happening, Bakir?
If nothing else, we will have the best intros in the podcast game.
At least the least consistent intros.
Right. I don't even know what we do anymore.
So, how's the heart feeling, man? How's the heart after the cardiac on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, every emotion a human being can feel in 90 minutes, I think I felt.
In a matter of what felt like 15 minutes.
The course of 75, at least.
Yeah. Man, that was not a good performance. What do you think of that?
I mean, yeah, I think come out of the gate, those first 15 minutes before the game-changing call, we weren't playing well. We were phoning it in. I mean, I think Glad got beat a couple times. They had a couple good looks. They were making good runs. That wasn't really a team that was going to win or tie or do anything, regardless of how many players they had on the field. Definitely not our best foot forward.
Yeah, we talked about this on the podcast on Saturday. We said the only way this LA team has a chance against us is if we get out there and we phone it in and we overlook them because we're playing the worst home team in the league. They have nothing to play for. But then I think we came to the conclusion that the team is too good, the coach is too good, and we're way too focused with way too much on the line, and everyone's been talking about this being a trap game. And I think if you know it's a trap and you still fall in the trap, that's just stupid and irresponsible. The whole idea behind the trap is that it gets you when you don't know it's there, right?
Right.
So
it's
no excuses there.
Nobody to blame but themselves, I think, for those opening minutes.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. So there was that event in the 15th or so minute.
Yeah, I think officially 17th minute, but somewhere between 15 and 17, I think, is when things started to go downhill.
So here's a question. This has nothing to do with that, but if a call is made and it takes you 2 minutes to review, what minute does the call go down in?
I think it's whenever the actual call gets made. So in this case, I think it would really be the 17th minute. So if the yellow card had stood, I think we'd be talking about the 15th minute. But because it's a red, I think it technically happened 2 minutes later.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think of that red?
Man, so I'm trying to take my homer glasses off, and I'm trying to be a good, neutral third party. And it's hard for us to do here at the podcast because, we're RSL till I die.
Channel your inner Dunny. Channel your inner Dunny.
Right. I had a hard time seeing a foul, to be honest with you. I think Silva did play Gio a bit and not necessarily the ball. But then the ball did end up getting away from both of them, is how I see it. And it in my opinion, became two guys shoulder to shoulder, both grappling at each other, both tussling to get to the ball first. I do not think Gio had any kind of advantage. I don't think he was in definitely nothing resembling an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, in my opinion. They were side to side. It's one guy decided to quit on the play and start screaming at the ref, and he's the guy that ended up getting the call in his favor, for better or worse. And I see the yellow, and I'm trying to respect the initial yellow. But then what I don't understand is supposed to be used when a clear and obvious error has been made. That's the language everyone always fixates on. It's clear and obvious. Mm-hmm. There was nothing clear and obvious about that goal scoring opportunity. I don't see it. I think you had a very amateur official, something like his third professional game, who didn't use VAR in the way it's designed to kind of fix the black and white day and night kind of examples, but instead looked and decided, hey, I'm going to bring in my own, interpretation of this rule here. And I think it ended up costing us a guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and 2 points, I think. I think we could have used that guy a lot towards the end there. I have a different approach. I think there should have been an offensive foul on Gio in the first place. Someone wrote on the Facebook page earlier today, I think, I can't remember exactly, that there was a push on Gio's side first, before Silva was pushing. And then I took another look at it. It really is true. Gio is the first one to push off Silva. Silva, if anything, is trying to retaliate and get him off him. Doesn't look like that at the very end there, but it looks like he's the one pushing first. He's the one pushing Silva off of him before Silva starts grabbing him. So here's my question about the VAR rule. I really don't know this. When they go back and review, is it like basketball when they say, well, we're reviewing whether it's out of bounds for the Jazz or the Clippers? But while we're reviewing that, we cannot actually review to see whether there was a foul on the play or whether there was anything else on the play, right? So is the review strictly to determine whether it's a yellow or red, or can they go back and say, you know what, there was not a foul here, or the foul could have gone the other way?
Yeah, I mean, I think they try to be as specific with it as possible. It's those 4 instances of when VAR is used and what you can and can't review, and when the run of play starts, and all that good stuff. I don't, to answer your question, I honestly don't know what they can and cannot look at, or what he is supposed to be and not supposed to be looking at. But I think you said something very interesting on the Twitter. It's they can't get it right even with TVs.
I said it in a little more colorful language than that, but yes.
Right, we gave them TVs and they still can't get it right, or something along those lines. It's I think inherently there was an inexperienced official who interpreted what he saw in a very. He used it to reaffirm what he was looking for, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's what VAR is designed for. I think it was an instance of VAR being used inappropriately. And I think it was just the wrong call. It's Nick Raimondo tweeted something out the very next day. I think it was the Philadelphia Union Seattle game.
Mm-hmm.
It was a similar kind of last man. It was a similar tackle. It was slightly different.
It was a lot worse. Obviously. I watched the game.
Right, and that wasn't even a foul.
Nope.
And he said something on the lines of, all we're looking for is for consistency. And yes. I think you and I went on about this when Beckerman's appeal, back when Audi shoved him. This is a league that hasn't invested in getting. It just hasn't. It's everywhere else you look. The stadiums are getting better. The teams are bringing in better talent. The DPs are getting younger, and we're playing attractive soccer, and markets are growing like wildfire. And then the only thing that is still an MLS 1.0, in my opinion, is pro. I think we were the victim of pro.
I think it's just not good enough. And I also think we need to stop complaining about them. I don't think they can do any better. I think they're just at the limits of their capacity. It's like if you have a cousin whom you're trying to teach Spanish to for the last 17 years, and they just can't get it. You hit that learning curve, you cannot break through it. I don't think they can do better. I don't think they know how to do better. If you have a child who has a learning disability, you stop getting mad at them at some point. You just understand that you have to work within their parameters. They can't do better, I think, unless they turn the whole thing around. Again, they have freaking televisions. They can literally go take a look at the play, and they still get them wrong. That's just ridiculous. That's beyond ridiculous. All right.
So I've got to ask you, do you see us trying to appeal that red, and do you see MLS and Pro and the disciplinary committee overturning it?
No, there's no way they overturn that. Absolutely not. It's by the letter of the law, it can be a red card. That's why soccer is not a black on white kind of sport. There's a lot of gray there, and that's one of those gray areas. And by the letter of the law, I don't see how you can overturn that red, especially knowing they have a hard on for us. They didn't overturn the Beckerman red. Why in the world would they overturn this thing?
Right.
And that was clear as daylight. This, I think if there's any room to argue, then they won't overturn it. I don't see them overturning it. And I think that's really unfortunate because we really could use Silva in the last 2 games.
Speaking of the last 2 games, we still have Colorado away after this international break.
Well, forget that. We haven't gotten there yet. Home. We haven't talked about what happened after that bad call.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I mean, let's just skip forward to the 90th minute. You know what? Screw it. Let's just skip forward to the 95th minute.
I mean, the man wears the captain's armband for a reason. And all of us, him, or why he chose us, or however you want to look at it. You know, I sometimes use jokingly when somebody does something nice for me at work, I say the word hero gets thrown around a lot. But, you know, in all seriousness, I love that dreaded son of a bitch. Just, that was heroics. That's what it was. It was 95th minute, you know, last play. You couldn't ask for more.
Yeah. Yeah, also, I'm really proud of these don't go for us usually. The 95th minute goals that change the game usually are scored by the other team who is playing against us.
Right.
Yeah, that felt good. I mean, that felt really good. I'm so glad they stuck in there. They kept attacking. They had multiple other chances. I'm not sure why we suddenly, like in LA, decided we can't score anymore, but there were plenty other chances. And let's face it, they had plenty of chances as well. But man, they stuck in there. They pulled it out. That was awesome. That was beyond awesome. Proud of the boys for sticking in it. Really hope we fix whatever in the hell was wrong there to play the way we played in LA and get our stuff together and keep going. Move on to.
While we're on the topic of heroics, you have to give it up for Nick Rimando and that improvised backline of Justin Glad and David Horst.
David Horst with the game-winning assist.
Not to mention the game-saving clearance off the line.
That's right.
I mean, that ball goes in. That goal from Beckerman doesn't mean anything.
I think my tweet was, "Oh dear God, Nick Rimando." At some point, that was ridiculous. That was old school Nick. That took me back like 8-9 years. Nick Rimando and Carl Beckerman winning us games.
Sometimes you just need your grizzled veterans to do work, and they did.
The ones that know how to do it. All right. Next game at Colorado, Sunday, late afternoon kickoff, followed by a home game against Kansas City. How about we don't predict scores right now? Because we had it horribly wrong at LA.
I think I said something along the lines of 3-0 or 3-1 or something. That wasn't it. No, I mean, I'm going to say that if we play against Colorado, that when we play those first 15 minutes against LA, we lose that game. Whatever was ailing us, we need to get that out of our system right now.
Especially against a red-hot Colorado who just beat Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, you got some dudes who are playing for contracts next year. It's nothing to lose, everything to gain. It's like a wounded animal on safari. It'll get you.
Yeah. Speaking of wounded animals, safaris in Colorado, I really hope they bring that wounded animal out this Saturday. They're playing Dallas, I believe, at home.
This Saturday, October 7th, Colorado is facing FC Dallas at home. The other 2 games that day are New York Red Bulls facing Vancouver and Minnesota United hosting Sporting KC. Those 2 games really not huge implications for us, but that Colorado FC Dallas game could be huge.
Oh,
Colorado could be doing us some favors.
humongous. And I believe then the week after, midweek, Houston is playing their game in hand. So by the time we're going to Colorado to play the Rapids on that Sunday, chances are, well, actually, both of the other teams who have games in hand, who are chasing the playoffs with us, should have played their games in hand, correct?
I think so, yeah. Everybody will be at the same game count. This international break, we're not playing, obviously, but there are some huge games that I think the average RSL fan should definitely tune into, if nothing else.
If you've never rooted for Colorado Rapids in your life, do it now.
Now's the time.
Yeah, at least for about the next 4 days, and then drop it again.
Speaking of the international break, Jefferson Severino did go down in the LA game in the 68th minute or 69th minute, if I remember correctly, with that sprained ankle. He has been cleared to play for the Venezuela national team. He'll be missing his international games with his national team. That it's a sprained knee. And I've heard people go anywhere as, he just needs a week off he's out for the rest of the season. No official word from any official RSL channels, but we're really, really hoping for a speedy recovery on his part. Yeah,
man, those knees can be tricky. Kind of glad he's now going to Venezuela. Sucks for him, obviously. I'm sure he would have enjoyed that a lot. But I'd rather give him another week of rest because, man, we gotta bring it home. All right. Did we cover everything? Are we missing anything here?
Well, there is a bit of news that came out earlier today that I think RSL fans might find very interesting. He reports that FC Dallas may have to forfeit their last game against, I think it was Orlando. It was Orlando. If you don't recall, they tied that game and took home a point, obviously, which put them right on our tail. So apparently what had happened is that the referees had got a different version of the team lineup sheet, and players who subbed on, I believe it was the 84th minute, wasn't technically cleared to play. By FIFA's laws of the game, they should be forfeiting that match and forfeiting that 1 point, which decides to penalize them, which is a really big if. I don't want to overpromise and deliver. Could be huge for our playoff hopes, because that would mean that if we won all of our games, FC Dallas would have to win the remainder of their games in order to beat us and overjump our playoff position. So expect to hear more from that in the coming days, but it could be massive for us.
It's like a long VAR review there. Well, we'll stay tuned to that real close.
Given the history of how VAR type reviews have gone for us, what do you think the likelihood is of FC Dallas actually being penalized by this?
Look, it's a simple thing here. If it can be proven, and we obviously have video of the player walking onto the field, I'm assuming we have logs of who was and was not registered to play. I didn't know about this until a few minutes ago. I bet you we can go research it, see what the lineups were, what the reserves were, and see who actually came on to the field. If that can be proven, then this is an absolute no-brainer. There are consequences to be paid for that. Would I feel bad for FC Dallas for missing the playoffs because of this? No, not even for 1 second. I don't care about Dallas. I don't care how we get in. We just got to get in. But I think the likelihood of this holding up, I really think when it comes to soccer, Salt Lake City is a bigger market than Dallas. It's not even that difficult to prove. You can look at TV viewership, or you just look at the stadium. I mean, Dallas has been one of the best teams in the league for the past 3 or 4 years, and if I remember correctly, their viewership and their stadium attendance has basically dropped every year, right? So if you're looking at it from a business perspective, I think it makes more sense for the MLS for RSL to be in it anyways. But look, if a rule was broken, a rule was broken. Take that point away. I think if anything, they should have more punishment for that. and we'll take it from there.
Right. Well, we'll stay on it. We'll keep the nation posted, and doesn't change the fact that we still need to do our job and get the next 6 points.
Exactly. All right, nation. Hey, good talking to you. We'll post this, and we'll see you real soon.